Hello and welcome to another Excel training video from Rich Kerr. In this scenario, we're going to be looking at the COUNTIF, SUMIF, and AVERGAGE functions. So these functions allow us to take data from one data set and extract some summary information with a simple formula. So I've got some basic data in the range A1 through D12. So I've made up some order numbers and salespeople, locations and amounts. So to the right is where we'll put our results from our three functions. So if you want to pause the video here and set up a similar data model, then restart the video and we'll create our formulas. Okay, so let's say that given the data on the left, I'd like to determine the total number of orders that were sold by Rachel. So under order count, I will start with equals, and I'll be using the COUNTIF function. So with COUNTIF, I have two required inputs, a range of cells within which I'd like to find a criteria value. So the range of cells where I'm going to search is column B. Now of course you could refer to explicitly B2 through B12, but by referencing the entire column, my formula will continue to work if I add more data beyond row 12. So B through B, B colon B for my range, and then comma, I'll use cell F2 as my criteria cell. And then of course I need a closing paren. As we remember, they always come in pairs. So COUNTIF open paren B colon B, comma F2. And we'll see that there are 4 orders for Rachel. And of course we can validate that with our small sample data. We can eyeball it and see that there are in fact 4 orders for her. Now if I were to change the salesperson to say Joey, there's 1 order for Joey. Or let's say Monica, there are 3 orders for Monica. So we see that that works. But what might be more compelling is if I could tell how many, or rather the total. So I've got the count, but what was the total sale for Monica? So in this scenario, we'll use the SUMIF function. So I have SUMIF open paren, and this function begins just like the COUNTIF. I need a range of cells, which would be column B, where I'm going to find my criteria value, so comma F2 for my criteria. But there's a third input or argument here, which would be the range to be summed. So I'll use column D as my sum range. Now the reason why the sum range has the brackets around it, indicating that it's optional, is that you could have the criteria range as the same range where the summing would occur. So we could say that we wanted to find and sum all the values in column D that were greater than 500. So in that case, the range from the first part of the formula is the sum range, making another entry unnecessary. But here it is required because I have text that I'm looking for in column B, but I want the numbers in D to be summed. So we'll do a closing paren, and there you have it, 1400 for Monica. And just to validate, if I go and select the Monica amounts, using my control key to select them, I can see down in the status bar the sum is 1400 in my auto calculate region. So that's working. Now let's talk about the average. I'll go to cell I2 and we will do average if here. So average if open paren, and the structure here is just like sum if. My range is column B, comma with a criteria of F2, and then the average range is column D. So just like SUMIF, except we're averaging the data rather than summing. Close paren, and I hit enter, and so we get 466.67. And once again, to validate, I'll use my mouse and my control key to select the Monica values, and we'll see that for Monica the average is in fact 466.67. Thank you so much for watching. Come again soon for more Excel training videos. Have a productive day.